And so by playing alongside them, you can learn what is the specific reason that your kid is finding it hard to turn these games off and help them find strategies for it.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Players Connection, connecting parents of autistic children with industry experts. Each week, we navigate the wonderful world of autism together, bringing you real conversations from specialists who truly get it. The journey is challenging, but you don't have to walk it alone, so settle in, get cozy, let's connect, and do some good. I am your host, Brad Broyles, and I'm here with my bedrock Minecrafter dominator, Nathan Palmer.
I think, Brad, you might have me confused with my boys, because if there's something that has to do with Minecraft, it is not me. No, not to say I don't like games, but that's one I just haven't jammed with.
Yeah, well, I've seen your boys. I've seen what you've done. And man, there's nobody who can build a better virtual reality than you, my friend. And today we have a special guest, a gaming expert, Andrew Fishman, all the way from Chicago. Thank you for joining the Players Connection today.
Thank you so much for having me.
We love that you're here now. Andrew, you're a licensed clinical social worker, author, and a therapist specializing in mental health support for teens and adults, with a unique experience of impacting video games on mental health. Could there not be a better topic to talk about than video gaming and mental health? Mm-hmm. How did you get into it?
It's kind of a funny story. My first job out of grad school, I was in the interview process, and they said, "Hey, have you ever heard?" The interview's going on. They said, "By the way, have you ever heard of this fork knife thing?" I said, "Fork? Do you mean Fortnite?" And they said, "Yes, Fortnite. That's it. All of our clients are talking about it. We don't know what the heck it is, and they're obsessed. What is it?" And so I went into, this is what the game is. The game was new at the time. This is what the game is. This is what parents should know about it. This is the way that I think about it with teens and its social capacity and all this stuff. I later found out that was one reason I got the job, is because I knew all of this stuff and could speak nerd with these kids. And so they started giving me all of the kids that they were like, "I bet Andrew would connect with this kid. This kid's a gamer." And so then that's quickly spread it into an expertise, and did more research, and eventually wrote a book for parents with all the things that I wish my clients' parents knew.
So this is
out from that.
Andrew, this is timely, and I can't tell you how serendipitous it is that you're on the show. Brad and I, when we host this, we try to get a broad array of topics out to our parents. And recently, we had a guest on that was talking about mental health, but in the vein of anxiety and avoidance. And screens came up, but it was more in a negative connotation, as kind of something that was a reinforcer for this avoidance tactic. And when we talked about mental health, and we talked about mental health the same way we do physical health, and we kind of made a reference to screens or gaming and even social media as kind of a mental junk food. And, looking back on it, it was a very one-sided comment, and there can be abuse of it. And the goal was that just like you have healthy eating habits, we need healthy mental habits. And what I appreciated seeing in your background was that there are social benefits, there are mental benefits, there are appropriate techniques around gaming, around screen times, that they actually can be a piece of the broader mental health puzzle, and not just, as you'd say, the junk food of it. And so, to the parent out there that brought in the comments, we appreciate it, we listen, and our listeners, we love hearing from you things you want to dive into more. So if there's ever a topic like that, let us know. We like to follow up. And that's kind of what I'm excited about today, is to explore that part of the topic, because I think as parents, what we don't want to do is like make a comment like that and you think, man, I'm doing something wrong because now my kid's on screens. I'd love to empower that a little bit more, to talk about how we can use screens in various ways. What are some tactics surrounding them? How to know healthy use versus addiction. I mean, there's a lot of areas that I just think you're going to help us shed some light on, and I can't wait to dive into it.
Mm-hmm. I'm excited.
Yep. And tell us a little bit about your your educational background. It looks like you have a Bachelor's of Arts. Tell us a little bit about your educational background. How did you get into the space of mental health? What was intriguing for you with it?
Sure. So I grew up in the suburbs of Chicago, went to a good high school, really wanted to help people. Just felt like it was and I didn't really know how, but maybe I want to be a scientist and work on medicine, and maybe I want to be a doctor. Maybe I want to be when I was very little, I wanted to be a firefighter. Like I knew I wanted to do something helping. And then ran into some real mental health challenges of my own around middle school, as a lot of people do. Middle school is terrible.
I always heard that middle school is just a bad idea for everybody.
I agree. I don't know anybody who's enjoyed middle school. Anyway, I had some real challenges and got a lot of help from a therapist, from a social worker. And I thought, you know what, I could do that. I could focus that way. Focused on psychology during high school, took AP Psych, enjoyed it, graduated with a bachelor's degree in psychology, worked at a therapeutic school for a number of years, went back and got my master's degree at Loyola, and then became a full-time therapist.
Wow. Well, that's good. That's awesome that you were able to turn something that was negative to something that positive. Now it's driven. Now you're out there helping other people.
Yeah.
And you have a wonderful book that came out, it's called Parenting a Gamer. Help your child build healthy habits, make positive choices, and find balance in the virtual world. So before we get into gaming, I have to ask, what is your game of choice that you love to play all the time?
My favorite's the Zelda series. I think they're amazing. I've played them. I've played all of them.
Who doesn't love Zelda?
Breath of the Wild's a masterpiece. That's my go-to. I'm a big Pokemon Go guy. Also, I've been playing that since it came out. I'm not picky. Really, anything with some sort of artistic story quality, I'm all over it.
Okay. What about you, Nathan? What's your game of choice?
I love a game with a storyline.
Okay.
So immersive stories are what I love. So I echo your comments on the Zelda game. It's good, it's clean, it's wholesome, and just artistically wonderful to kind of get lost in another world sometimes.
Yeah.
Well, for me, the best thing that ever happened in the last year is that college football came out on EA Sports, and I've been jamming out with college football. I think I've won the national championship at least 3 different times with 3 different teams. So
nice.
That's my game of choice. My kids love Skylander, which I still don't understand how that works, but those are those games of choice. Now, to kind of kick it off, and I've been wanting to ask you, Andrew, many parents view gaming as a mindless time sink or a source of household friction. What is something positive kids are getting out of the virtual world that non-gaming parents completely miss?
Well, I want to start with something that I think both of you alluded to, Nathan especially, that it can be really artistic and beautiful and wonderful. I'm a big reader. I read a lot of books. I've got, I think, 2 or 3 by my nightstand right now. I'm cycling between them. I've played video games that are as good as any novel I've ever read.
Yeah,
and
I'd echo
just
that.
in terms of artistic merit, immersive quality, beautiful stories, beautiful storytelling. I think just it's sort of like, I would compare it to watching TV, where there's junk food equivalents of TV where you're not really getting much out of it. I don't think, although that's a little judgmental of me. But then there's Game of Thrones and Breaking Bad and The West Wing, and there's really meaty, wonderful, protein sort of games as well. So I just want to defend games as an artistic medium first. But I think for a lot of my autistic clients, and that's about 2/3 of my caseload is teenagers with autism. And for a lot of them, the benefit that I see the most is social time. And it's time with their peers. It's a way for them to share with other people. And the way that they describe it is that it's a sort of social scaffolding. Like it's a way to get, it's a simplified version of social interactions that's more structured. You don't have to worry about eye contact. You don't have to worry about body language. If you want to talk about your special interest, Roblox, the whole time, and everyone is playing Roblox, you're sort of allowed to do that. Everyone has agreed to be part of that conversation just by existing in that world. And so you can just go. You can just be your most authentic self in a way that is really lovely and rare in this world where it's sort of punished in other spaces.
See, and that's interesting because the tendency might be as a parent to go, well, you're getting an artificial form of social contact. And so we'll measure that against our lens of what healthy social interaction is, right?
Yes.
And there's almost a look, as parents, and I don't think there's a lot of bad parents out there. I think at the core, we all want the best for our kids, but we filter that through what we think is best for them.
Yeah.
And that's often through our own lens of what was best for us, or, in our mental capacity of what should be best for them. And instinct would say it's not healthy to connect with people that way, right? Or at least to have that be the primary mode. But you're suggesting that these kids that maybe struggle otherwise with that, it creates a bridge where the very nature, the design of online social interaction is kind of supporting their inability to do so otherwise. And that's an interesting take on it.
Yeah. There's a concept I'd want to bring up called are you familiar with the double empathy problem?
Ooh, no.
No.
It's a really,
But
it's a
now
really, big,
Now I want to
I'm
know.
really interested.
it's really important, I think, especially with for anyone who works with neurodiverse people. So they did an experiment where they basically had someone. It's one of those sort of telephone games where you tell the next person what to do, and they tell the next person what to do, and they tell the next person what to do, and they see if the person at the end can follow the original instructions. I think the original one, they were like, all right, have the person at the end of this line reconstruct this configuration of blocks. And when they had a whole line of neurotypical people without autism or ADHD, when they had a whole line of them, they did fine. The blocks at the end looked very much like the blocks at the beginning. And when they had a whole line of autistic people, they did great. Same thing, they succeeded at the task. When they alternated neurotypical, autistic, it collapsed. They couldn't have, the communication styles were so different that they couldn't manage the task. They were just communicating in very different ways. And so by extension, the idea is that autistic people don't have bad social skills. They have autistic social skills. And so the way that I see this in my practice is I had a bunch of kids one time who their parents were like, they can't make friends at school. I think they're just really bad at socializing. Help them. And then I got a bunch of them into a room together for a group therapy, and they were immediately friends. They just got each other in a way that no one else had before. And I hope friends to this day. They just immediately started connecting over their interests, and they just talked in a different way than their peers were expecting them to. And so I think, to go back to the point, video games do a really good job of emulating that communication style where it's task-oriented. It can be about whatever you want. You're allowed to just info dump, and that's accepted. It works very well for autistic brains as a way to socialize.
Okay, now
Wow.
let me play devil's advocate as a parent for a second, because I can just guess there's parents out there that are having the same thought. That's great, but how much is too much?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because is this exposure now becoming a crutch more than it is a support? And when do you know where that shift has occurred? Like how? And I'm fearful you're going to say, well, it depends, but hopefully there's some wisdom and some guidance in that, because that's that challenge, right? Okay, maybe it is a good thing, but until it's not. And
then if I can add to that too, is that the right social medium for that child? You kind of hear in the media that these social interactions can be as positive, but also as negative as well. So how do I know?
Yeah.
Parents want to protect their children, obviously, from those that could invoke harm. How do we protect them?
Yes. Okay. So I think 2 points you're getting at. One is sort of, is it, are the games being social a good idea? And broadly, yes, for a couple of reasons. One, I would say that really any social time is just inherently positive. And there's evidence to back that up, that online friendships are not as good as in-person friendships in terms of quality, slightly, but they're certainly better than nothing. And if this is the kid's only or best way to do that, at least for a while, I say lean into that. The other thing that I think a lot of parents will take heart in is that research also shows that a lot of these online friendships eventually become in-person friendships, especially if these are kids, at your kid's school and people who you trust and are in their community. Spending a lot of time with somebody just builds that trust and builds that confidence to then go into the quote unquote real world and exist together in a shared space. So there's definitely evidence that this is positive for kids and also leads to long-lasting friendships. Um, Brad, to your point, the online safety is absolutely a real concern. Especially, I think Roblox is the worst offender on that one, where there's just a lot of really there's people with really bad intentions out there. There's a lot of predators on Roblox specifically. And so one point I keep coming back to in the book is how important it is for you to play alongside your kids. And this is one of the reasons why, is that it helps you monitor who they're talking to. Are those people safe? And, you as a parent with more years of experience and a lot of different strengths than your kids have can sort of listen in and see, oh, is that person actually someone from their school? Is that person actually seem like another 12-year-old? Or is this someone that I'm a little cautious about? Your antenna are maybe a little more fine-tuned toward threats than your kids are. So I think one way to do that, and I'll come back to another one in a second, but one way to do that is to just help your kids monitor by playing alongside them and listening to who are they talking to.
Is there a certain age group that you're like, hey, I can introduce? Because that always comes up too. Like, hey, are we playing games too young? Are we playing games too old? Like, is there a certain age group that you're like, okay, if we're going to game, what is, and I know every child's different. You have to gauge it upon their social understanding. But emotionally, when's a good time to, hey, this is a good time to introduce gaming as a way of trying to, and I like how you say try to connect either with other individuals or build out that creativity that they have in their mind,
Yeah.
like storytelling. I like how using gaming in that regard is productive. So what would you say, like, hey, when's a good time to introduce my child to this?
So it depends not just on who your kid is, but also what games you're thinking about. And so, I forget if it's American Academy of Pediatrics. I think it's that group has guidelines for parents about what screen time is appropriate, how much to think about. They used to have just general rules for everybody, where it's like 2 hours for teenagers and 1 hour before then, and half an hour of high quality time for 3 and under. And they got rid of all of that because they realized that's too.
It's too programmed.
It's too programmed. It's too general for every person, and every kid is different. And so they instead have what they call the 5 C's. It stands for something like child, conversations. There's 3 other C's that I'm forgetting off the top of my head, but it basically comes down to what's the content. That's the third one. What's the content of the games? Who is your child and what can they handle? What are the conversations you're having with your kid about this? Are they calm? That's another one. When they play the game, and all of these things are things to think about. So when I think about what age to start a kid on games, I think, what games are you talking about? If we're talking, a Kirby game, that's probably fine for a 6 or 7-year-old. If we're talking Fortnite, that's probably a much older kid. Call of Duty's a much older kid than that. If it's a multiplayer game, that's different than a single player game with you. And there's a lot of variables that I think you can. I don't want to give any blanket recommendations for that reason. It's just it's too complicated.
Well, and you know what, you had a good qualifier in there, Andrew, that we moved past, but I'd actually like to go back to for a second. That was, you suggested being with them, game with them, or be a part of that experience with them. And that's a piece I think that deserves a little bit of attention, because I think sometimes it's looked at, my kid wants this game, do I get it for them or not? And then when we do, we just leave them, and the only thing we have are time limits, right? So it's, okay, you can play it for X amount of time, but we're not with them. We're not experiencing it with them. And so our gauge on it might be a little bit distorted, because we're just doing it as far as how much or how little do you get, not am I enriching the experience of it. And, as parents, we're always looking for ways to be involved with our children. I think sometimes we tend to just want them to be involved with us in the things we like, but it's important to be involved with them in the things that they like. So even if you're not a gamer or don't like it, you're a parent first, right? And so if that is a part of the world your children want to create, as a parent, take it upon yourself to learn about that world, to be with them in that space. And being with them, I think, gives you the chance to parent them in gaming instead of just leaving them in isolation. I think that's where some of the struggle comes, because if you just leave them, now, the addictions or the unhealthy habits, and of course they're going to develop unhealthy habits, they're kids, right? And so if we leave them in isolation with all these tools and toys, with nothing more than a timeline for guidance, then they're essentially entering a new world without a parent. So I love what you said. Be with them, parent with them, game with them, be their parent in that space as much as you would in any other play zone. It's great advice.
Right. I think one of those ways that you can do that is by showing them, modeling how to have a healthy relationship with these games. Where
Well, that
a
might
lot
be
of
a
the time,
problem with some people.
yes,
Yeah,
um,
that's a good point. I mean, if the parent has an unhealthy habit, that's a whole different dialogue.
right. That's a whole different dialogue. But let's say you're a kid and you don't know how to lose a game very well. That comes up all the time, especially for autistic kids. It feels like the world is ending when you are losing anything that's really important to you.
Now I feel like you're talking to me personally now, Andrew. So
and so a lot of these kids are looking for how am I supposed to react when I lose right at the last minute. And the role models they often have are Twitch streamers who earn money by having huge reactions, by throwing things, and they never have a positive example of a parent being like, "Oh man, that was kind of annoying. Oh well, let's try again."
But
Or
still
however
fun, right?
right.
but that was fun. Man, I really screwed up at the end. That was funny. And so I think that's another way that you can lead by example there. And I think also it gives you a lot of opportunities for positive conversations. Where let's say you're in a story-based game and the protagonist is experiencing bullying. That's a great opportunity to talk about, wow, that was awful. Has that ever happened to you? What would you do in that situation? What do you think the protagonist should do in this situation? Should they tell a parent or should they handle it themselves? And teach values that way in a way that isn't so cringeworthy and, get your kids to roll their eyes and walk away from you because you're being too annoying. It's like one level abstracted from directly saying, hey, when you do this, I don't like it. It gets into some of your values and help have those conversations.
Yeah, I'm having this interplay in my head, Andrew, where I think sometimes screens specifically, whether it's gaming or otherwise, as a parent, we use it as a tool because it gives us time away, right? Where I can know they're taken
Right.
care of. They're not going to ask me for anything. There's going to be no needs, and now I can go take my
Yeah.
space. And it's almost like I'm turning off the parent light or parent switch to leave them to their own devices. And what you're suggesting, and not that you have to do it all the time, because listen, parents need their time, and if that's a resource in a way, that's fine. But I think what you're suggesting is there is an opportunity to proactively parent in that screen space, and in that modeling and in that involvement, we get, I think, a much better ability to teach them healthy and positive screen tactics and approaches versus just leaving them in isolation and penalizing them when they've overdone it, when in fact we've just left them to do it without any guidance anyways.
Yeah. No, and a lot of people fall into that. And I'm glad that you brought that up, Nathan. And Andrew, I'm curious because I ask this question myself all the time as a parent. I got 6 kids, love them to death, but sometimes I want them to go play their games. So, but my question is where's the line between passionate hobby and genuine problems, or like a gaming disorder? What key red flags or signals that a child is using gaming to escape a deeper issue like anxiety, depression, or social struggles? How do we know that they're not just gaming to turn off rather than, to avoid, we talk about like PDA, right? Like or any kind of disorder to turn off the world. Where's the line, or what's the red flags that we should be looking for?
Yeah. I put that into 2 categories. When I'm doing my first sort of assessment of, are games a good idea for this kid? And the first is, how does that specific kid react to those specific games? Is this a kid who can play their favorite game for 2 hours and then turn off the game and go about their day, and it's just sort of another part of their landscape? They're probably fine. If this is someone who after an hour starts pitching a fit and throwing things, or they play for an hour and then they turn it off and they are just agitated for the rest of the day, and it's really only the days when they're playing that game, there's something about it that's too charged for that kid, That's category one, is maybe that kid's games need to be reassessed. Maybe this kid can't handle that level of excitement on a screen. The second, if we're talking about actual addiction, and that's a lot of the people that I see. I, for example, have some clients who have dropped out of college or failed their classes in high school because they just couldn't handle playing video games and also doing their homework or going to class. And the most obvious and important red flag there is if the kid wants to stop, if they're like, I know that I have homework, I know that it's bedtime, but I just can't I just can't pull myself away from the screen. Giant red flag. That uh, that kid probably needs some help. Is if they want, it's not you as the parent saying stop and they say no. It's if the kid themselves says I need to stop and then doesn't. Another tool that I would recommend, I talk about this also in the book. It's called the Wheel of Life, where if you picture drawing a pizza with just different wedges on a circle, and you assign each one to a different aspect of an important of a healthy life. You have a mental health wedge, you have a physical health wedge, family, friends, school, hope for the future, sports, hobbies, whatever 8 or 10 things are important to you and the kid about what does a life look like. And then ask your kid, how well do you think that thing is going? What is family time to you? Out of scale at 1 to 10, and then just color in that wedge 5/10 of the way there if they say a 5. And then you look for holes. Is their mental health at a 3, but school's at a 10, family's at a 9, friends are at a 10? What's going on there? Look for the holes and figure out what might be causing that. Because very often it gets masked by screen time. And I think that's a good way to start that conversation about what's actually going on for this kid. And are the games the problem, or are they covering up a problem in another aspect of their life?
Gotcha. That's an important key distinction. I mean, there's games for fun and there's games for I'm using it as a coping mechanism.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And even in the vein of coping, there's a everybody has their strategy for, I'm going to say, releasing or letting go or unwinding.
Yeah.
Which may be a healthy mask or a healthy retreat. But you're asking the question, are there unhealthy paradigms? And I love that approach, the pie shape of getting into that, because it's not always easy having those dialogues with your kids, and they're not always going to be forthright about it. And so that idea of giving them the structure to fill in the gaps is a great way of just seeing where they're at across all those different metrics. And I love the idea, Andrew, that it makes it intentional. And again, I'm just going to go back to, these are tools for parents that we can use to connect, to be aware, and avoid some of the stigmatisms of just screens in general being a bad thing. I think they can be healthy, and they can be ways that we can not only connect, but get greater insights into the needs of our kid.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I like how you use gaming as a way, like you're assessing the child. So I want to kind of dive into something like when you work with your clients,
Mm-hmm.
Andrew, when you start doing the assessments of gaming and the impact that it has on their child, what are you looking for? What are you really assessing? What's your process, if you wouldn't mind sharing with our audience, because maybe they can use that at home as a way to kind of gauge, connect, and see how these certain games are affecting them, affecting the child.
I think for me, what I'm trying to do in that first session or two is, first off, keep an open mind, because I've been playing games my whole life, but they're changing every day, and so I don't know what I don't know what I don't know. And so my first couple questions, if somebody comes in and what does your family look like? What's your social life like? How's your level of anxiety? What's school? All that stuff. What do you do for fun? And very often they say, I play video games. I think a lot of people stop there and they say, okay, video games, check, done. I understand that. And I think the reality is you don't really, because it's, as I've mentioned, I think here, they're as varied as books. There are self-help books, there are romance novels, there are sci-fi cool things, there's Harry Potter. There are as many genres of video games as there are books. And so my second question is, all right, what are your favorite games? What do you like about them? Why do you play those games? What attracts you to them? Are you playing with friends, or are you playing by yourself? How many hours a day do you play? And then why do you play that many hours a day? Because the same person might say, well, I got all my homework done. I just really want to turn my brain off for a while. That's a different kid than someone who says, that's the only way that I have any social time after school, so I have to play for a couple hours. That's a different kid who says, I can't handle not playing because I'm too sad all the time. That's another kid entirely. And so my job in that moment is just to keep as open mind as I can, assume that I know nothing, and really let them be the experts.
Mm-hmm. Well, and so I'm curious because I'm always into like, see, the problem I have with kids when they play video games is I don't play video games, so it's hard for me to connect with those kids. Like, so they come in like, hey, I'm playing this game, and I'm like, that's awesome, I guess. I don't even know what it is. Like, I come from the '80s when all we had to do was press the red and blue button. I only had two options, right?
Right.
Contra was like my favorite game. So, but what does it tell us about a child when they come in, they say, hey, I play Minecraft, or I play Fortnite, or I play Call of Duty, or I play ABC game? Like, how can I connect as an individual to those kids when I really don't know? I mean, because they might say, hey, I like this and I like that. I'm like, okay, that's great, but I'm trying to find better connection than that. What would speak from like to the parent? Like, how can I connect better with my kids in a virtual world that I don't understand at all?
Mm-hmm. Well, what they say in therapy is let the client be the expert. And so what I would encourage in that moment is, I've never heard of that game. Tell me about it. What do you like about it? And then just let them go. Let them tell you about all the intricacies, and that sounds great. It sounds like you have a lot of choices in that game. How do you decide what you want to do? Minecraft's a great example where you could play it in creative mode where you are just building stuff. You're making your own little world. You can make buildings. You can make farms. You can do whatever you want. Or you can go out in Minecraft and fight monsters and get better swords and go slay the dragon. Or you can go play competitively where you're fighting other players. And so even within one game, if somebody tells me they play Minecraft, that's not enough information for me to know what they like about it. So just follow-up questions, all the ones you would normally ask. What do you like about the game? Who's your favorite character? What do you like about that character? What parts of the game do you think are the hardest? And just really let them tell you about their interest the way that you would about anything else. If they said, I really like baseball. All right, what do you like about baseball? Do you have a favorite player? Do you have a favorite position you like to play? Do you like to play with your friends? Are you competitive? Are you not? All of those are applicable toward video games. And I think really just staying as curious as you can is a great way in.
And that's the key word. And there's a nuance in what you just said, Andrew. It's being curious is a topic that's come up on our podcast a lot from a parent standpoint. But the nuance I wanted to point out is you're not pretending that you have this fake interest in the gaming world, because you don't. You have an interest in them. And all those examples you just gave, all those questions had less to do about, hey, educate me about gaming. It's no, educate me about your experience with the game. Tell me more about you and why you like it. And any parent, regardless of if you love or hate gaming, can be curious about their child. And I think that natural approach of being curious almost is a relief valve for them, knowing, okay, even if I know, because it's really easy for a kid to know if their parent likes or doesn't like, or supports or doesn't support gaming, right? And so that can almost to them feel like, well, why does my parent not like it, but I do? And is there confidence issues with that? And is there something wrong with me because I do? Is what I'm doing bad because it's not tolerated well? But if the parent's like, no, I want to know of you and I connect with you, and that's around the topic of gaming, it kind of takes all those insecurities and wipes them away, because now there's connection.
Yeah.
Now there's genuine interest and a chance for parents to discover and learn and love it or hate it, and game or not game, you're getting to know your child better.
Yeah. The example I give in my book is that I personally don't know anything about ballet. I've been to one. It was fine. But if I had a kid who really, this is all they wanted to do, they want to go to dance school, they want to be a ballerina, I need to learn about ballet. I need to be curious. I need to watch YouTube videos. I need to learn the lingo. I need to figure out, all right, how do I parent a ballerina suddenly? And if my kid were doing anything for 6 hours a day, I'd want to know everything about it. I would want to talk to them about it constantly because clearly it's important to them and it should be important to me too.
So you're saying I need to understand more about Skylander. Dang it.
I think so. Yeah. So all right. What I don't know Skylander. So what kind of game is it?
My 8-year-old, he has all the game. He has like all the toys. He throws.
Oh, it's the one with the toys. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I've seen the toys in the store. They plug into the game somehow.
Right.
And
They plug in,
like
and then you can
character.
like mismatch. Yeah. And then he runs around acting like those characters throughout the day.
Okay. So then, what does he like? Does he have a favorite one? Why does he like that character?
See, I have no idea.
Does he like collecting new ones, or does he like finding the most powerful ones, or does he like the cutest ones, or is he playing with other people? Is having the coolest ones important to him? Is it important to his friends? What motivates him to just get more? Is it just because they're fun, or is there a reason for it? Will he get made fun of at school if he doesn't have this specific one that everybody has? I don't know. He does.
Interesting.
I love how quickly those questions just rolled off your tongue, Andrew. And we all have ego, because right off the bat, I'm going, man, I haven't done a good job of asking my kids those questions.
Well, I don't either. I mean, I just throw them like, hey, you guys want to go play, go play. Mm-hmm. And so, Andrew, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit. Is that okay?
Sure. Yeah.
Because I'm curious. So what do you say to parents when they say, you know what, gaming is bad for my child? Gamings are bad. It's too addictive, creates too much mental health issues. We're done. So what would you tell a parent that has that kind of experience?
So I think part of what I struggle with in that moment is it's not my job to teach values. It's not my job to tell a parent that they're wrong in that moment, because maybe for their kid it is. Maybe in their experience it's really hurtful and they don't see the value in it. Okay. I do. I can talk about the benefits, but I don't know if that's just sort of starting a fight that I don't need to. I would ask what benefits their kid sees in it, and why. Or usually I'm with the kid and the parent in that moment, and so what I will do is often ask the kid, which games do you want to play? How did you decide that was the one for you? Have you ever played a game? What did you like about it? What were the benefits that you see? And then start a conversation from there by, again, remaining curious. And I'm not trying to change anybody's minds, even though I'm a little bit, but I'm intentionally trying to just stay neutrally curious.
But so Andrew, you're really good at this. You keep taking the topic off the tool and putting it back on the people.
Yeah, you do.
Mm-hmm. It's funny, we keep asking you these questions because the focus is the video game. And you keep coming back at us saying, no, the focus is your child.
Right, because we get these questions all the time.
Yeah, but I think that's the lesson is a game's a game, it's a tool, it's a thing, it's an inanimate object. You can use it a number of ways for good or bad. I think that's true about anything. I think I could substitute the topic of gaming with ice cream or with movies.
Don't mess with my ice cream. Come on, man.
Or with social media, or with anything that we might use or abuse in a way that might be questionable. Is this good or not? Right? Am I spending too much time at work? Am I too much time on my phone? We could substitute anything for the topic of gaming or screen time, and I think the resolution would be the same in each case. Be curious about the person, not the thing.
Yeah.
Ask, why is this important to you? What aspect about this drives you? And within that, you're going to learn more about the individual and have less conflict about the thing, because we're seeing it from different perspectives. And until we learn about each other, there's always going to be conflict until we align. So I love how, I don't know if this was intentional on your part, Andrew, but you have been nothing but consistent in each one of these possible conflicts of going, we'll point it back to the person and take the focus off the thing.
Well, I've been drilling Andrew, and he does a really good job. I'm trying to catch him, but he won't fall for it.
No, and it's funny because I might have just taken we had a whole episode on avoidance. And if I didn't know it better, Andrew, I'd be like, well, you're dodging the question, but you're not. You're answering the question that we're not not asking. And I think you're coaching us, and you're being very pleasant about it. I can see why you went into therapy. You're very good. In a very nonchalant way, you're kind of saying, guys, stop asking the wrong questions.
Yes.
Yeah, and I appreciate that, because it challenges me as a parent to go, stop making the focus on the thing and make it about the person. And there's a lot of wisdom there, because I almost wonder if, no, I don't wonder, I know our opinions are our kids know what we think about things,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And I remember growing up, my dad wasn't a big supporter of video games. He never gamed with me, never played with me. He would ask me to do other things sometimes, and it wasn't very overt. I mean, he was not by any means a parent that demanded I do something versus not. But I would sometimes wonder if games were good or bad because my parent didn't like the game. And so I felt different, and there wasn't a connection there. And I'm thinking back, how would it have been as a kid to have my dad show up, even if I knew he hated gaming, and just be curious about what I did, and curious about why, and curious about, hang on, let me stop my friend, curious about me. That would have been impactful for me. And I would have been totally fine if he hated gaming, but if he showed up for me. And that's a nuance that I hope parents are grasping onto.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Well, I don't even know where to go from that, Nathan. That was well said. So, as we kind of wrap up, Andrew, please share some thoughts that you would want all of our audience to know. But I'm also kind of curious, what's the one game that you've played recently that you think every parent should check out to better understand the modern gaming culture?
That's a really hard question.
I finally stumped you. Yes.
It's a really hard question, because I don't know that there is one gaming culture. I think, honestly,
hang on. I'm going to answer it for him. Ready? I think I know the style. Ready?
Yep.
Brad, I think that's a great opportunity to find out what culture your child's drawn to.
I hate that answer, man.
Nicely done. I was going to say whatever game your kid is playing.
See?
Oh,
he still said it better.
Yeah, he said it way better than you did, but
I tried. I'm a work in progress. I'm new to this approach.
Mm-hmm. No, but it just, what would you, I guess, what would you like to tell our audience as we wrap up, Andrew, that you would like them to walk away? If a parent listens to this episode about gaming, working with their child, and better understanding them and how to connect, what's one thing you would love that they should walk away knowing after meeting with you?
Yeah. I think I'll give another reason to play with your kids, and that's to learn the context and the language to use with your kids. So I'll give you an example from my own life. I was a big Pokemon fan as a kid. That was my first video game ever that I bought with my own money, and it caused a lot of fights at home, because there are things in Pokemon called trainer battles where it's a little fight that you get into, and once you're in it, you can't save the game, you can't turn it off, or you'll lose all of your progress. And so it became sort of a running joke in my family that they'd come down to dinner, I'm in a trainer battle, and my parents didn't know what that meant. They just knew that it was a thing that I would always say.
You were just being defiant and couldn't pull away from your screen, right?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And so if I had been able to explain this better to them as an 8-year-old, I probably would have said, look, this is a 5-minute battle that once I finish, I'll happily do whatever. But if I don't finish it and my brother comes and knocks the Game Boy off, then I lose 2 hours of progress. Just let me finish this one thing and I'll do it. I'm not being defiant. I just need to finish this thing. It's like I need to save this Word document before I can go turn my computer off. And so one more reason to play alongside your kid is to learn that language and to learn the reasons for it. Maybe this kid is playing a game that, in Fortnite, every game takes about 20, 30 minutes. And if you leave in the middle, you lose. And if you're playing with your friends and you leave in the middle, they lose. And if you're a 14-year-old who values social time, that's just not an option. So of course it's going to cause fights. And so by playing alongside them, you can learn what is the specific reason that your kid is finding it hard to turn these games off, and help them find strategies for it.
Yeah, and what you're suggesting is be intentional as a parent. Setting rules and boundaries is not parenting. That's a way for me to cope with something I don't like. Right? That's just my own avoidance strategy. I don't like it. And so the way I'm going to cope with it as a parent is I'm going to set rules so I don't have to deal with it. But I think the way it can be interpreted is, well, then I'm not dealing with them. I'm isolating my children as much as I'm using my boundary to avoid the issue. And they're young enough, they don't know how to separate the two. And so if I'm separating myself from a thing, it can feel like I'm separating myself from them. And you're giving us the call to action: insert yourself in their lives, be a part of it. Love what they're doing or not, doesn't matter. You love your child. And you don't have to love what your child does, but if you want to influence their habits in that space, right? If you want them to be healthy screen time people, which is a skill they're going to need in a world that's increasingly growing in screen exposure, if you want to have a positive voice in that space, it means you need to join them in that space and give them those parenting examples the same way you would in any other area of development.
Right. And I think one of the reasons that I hesitate to give any just advice is because, let's say you know that your kid is playing Fortnite and they're in the middle of a game. A reasonable parent might say, look, this is more important than the game. I know that you're in the middle of a round, but you need to turn it off. Another reasonable parent might say, okay, finish this round and then turn it off. And so both of those, I think, are reasonable ways to let your kid know, at least I understand the dilemma that you're in. This is the way that we as a family respond to that kind of challenge.
Yep.
But you can't do that unless you know what the game is and why, and the easiest ways to play with them.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess I better learn more about gaming. Andrew.
No, learn more about your kid.
And so I got to speak the language, man. I got to connect with these kids.
Mm-hmm.
So, Andrew, thank you so much for being here. Wonderful conversation. Hey, everyone, thank you so much for making us part of your day. If you've enjoyed the show, please hit the subscribe button so you're always in the loop for more inspiring conversations just like this one. A huge shout out to our amazing team, our producer, Jesse Palmer, our marketing director, Dallin Davis, for making this happen. Until next time, let's do some good.